Today our topic is graph using slope-intercept form. Our learning target, how can I create a graph using slope-intercept form? This is our third and final way of graphing a linear equation. First off, we need to review some vocabulary. Slope is your rate of change. In this lesson, we're going to be using rise over run a lot. So make sure you're familiar with that from last lesson. Y-intercept, that's where the line crosses the y-axis. So put those two together and we get slope-intercept form. So this is our new vocabulary piece, which is y equals mx plus b. You are going to get sick of hearing y equals mx plus b, but you're going to hear it a lot this year, next year, 10th grade, 11th grade, 12th grade. Y equals mx plus b is really a key piece of linear algebra. So it's one of our main ways of writing a linear equation. The number in front of the x we call m, which is slope, which you were introduced to last lesson. Now we're going to talk more about the b, which is the y-intercept. Now please note, I included the plus sign with the b. Sometimes it'll be a minus b, which means your y-intercept is negative. And we're going to talk a lot about that today. Identify the slope and the y-intercept. It must be in slope-intercept form, so it has to be y equals mx plus b. So if we look at our first one, y equals 5x minus 3. I'm going to write y equals mx plus b underneath it. What number lines up with the m? The 5 does. It's not 5x, it is just 5. We do not put the x next to the slope because in the equation it's next to the x, but the slope is just 5. Just the m and the 5 go together. Then plus b, notice it's a minus 3, which means it is a negative 3 for our y-intercept. Next example, y equals mx plus b. That number that's in front of the x is negative 2/3, which means that is your slope. Slope will be a fraction a lot of the times, so don't let that scare you. It's okay to have a fraction for a slope. Plus b, well, we're not adding anything, which means we're really adding 0, which means our y-intercept is 0. Last example here, 4x minus 2y equals 6. That is not in y equals form, which means before we can identify the y-intercept, we have to change it into y equals form. So first off, we're going to move that x. We're going to do minus 4x on this side, minus 4x on this side. 4x minus 4x is 0. We bring down the negative 2y. That 2y is negative. Equals 6 minus 4x. Get the y all by itself by undoing the multiplication with division. We're left with y equals 6 divided by negative 2 is negative 3. Negative 4 divided by negative 2 is positive 2x. So we're looking at y equals negative 3 plus 2x. Now, when it's written like that, y equals negative 3 is really your b. You see it doesn't have an x with it. So that negative 3, no x, that's really going to line up with the b. The plus 2x, the positive 2x, is that mx, that 2x. So it's really y equals 2x minus 3, which means your slope, m, is going to be 2, and your b is going to be the minus 3, that negative 3 piece. Now let's put that into practice for graphing. So our steps. First we have to rewrite the equation in y equals form, because it has to be y equals mx plus b. Identify the slope and the y-intercept. So identify your m and your b. Plot the y-intercept. And lastly, use the slope to find the next points. Right, so those are the main steps, and they make a lot more sense when we do some practice. So let's practice. The first example, y equals 2/3 x plus 5. It's in y equals form, so step 1 is done. Step 2, identify your slope and y-intercept. Identify your m and your b. So our m is 2/3. Our b is 5. Did step 2. Step 3, plot the y-intercept. Put the y-intercept on the graph. If it is a y-intercept, it's going to go on your y-axis, not your x-axis, your y-axis. So we count up to 5. Now I know these graphs aren't numbered, but sometimes you don't get a numbered graph. So we just have to count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Put the point at 5. Next piece is to use your slope to find the next point. So we did step 3, now we're on step 4. Use the slope. Now this is where that rise over run comes into play, because slope is rise over run. So we're going to rise 2, run 3. Rise 2, that means we're going to go up 2. Since it's positive 2, we go up. Run 3, we're going to go right 3. So we count from this blue point that we put at 5, we're going to count up 2, 1, 2, over 3. 1, 2, 3. Put a point. If you can do it again, do it again. Go up 2, over 3. Put a point. If we can do it again, we can't, because we can only go up 1. We cannot go up 2. Now, if we wanted more points on the graph than just 3, we would go backwards. So the opposite of up 2, right 3, would be down 2, left 3. So we can also go down 2, left 3. Down 2, left 3. And that also gives us points on the graph. So if we connect all those points, it gives us a nice straight linear function. All right, let's try that second example. We have y equals negative 2x minus 1. So first off, it's in y equals form, so we're good. Identify your m and your b. Your m is negative 2. Your b, remember to take that sign with it, is negative 1. Plot your b. Your y-intercept goes on your y-axis. So we go at the origin. Negative 1 would be down 1, so right there. Then we use our slope. Slope, remember, is rise over run. Right now we just have negative 2, which is just a rise. We need a number below negative 2 that would give us our run without changing the value. So anytime you're just given a whole number, it's going to be that number over 1. So our slope is really negative 2 over 1, which means negative 2 over 1, you're going to go down 2, because it's negative, right 1, because it's positive 1. You could also do the opposite, which would be opposite of down is up, opposite of right is left. So you can do both. I will show you the down 2, right 1 in red. Down 2, we go down 2, right 1, put a point. Go down 2, right 1, put a point. Down 2, right 1, put a point. And you continue that pattern. If you want other points on the graph, you flip to up 2, left 1. So starting at that green point, up 2, left 1. See how they still line up with the other points on your graph? It's all about just using that rise over run to locate points on the graph. 2 more examples on the back of your note sheet. So if you flip it over, y equals negative 1/4 x. Identify your m and your b. Your m is negative 1/4. Your b, remember, if we're not adding anything, it's really adding 0. Start with your y-intercept on the y-axis. At 0, that's going to be right in the middle of your graph. That means you're not moving up or down the y-axis. Negative 1/4, you use that rise over run. Your rise is negative 1. Your run is positive 4. If there is a negative, always give it to the top number. Don't give it to the top and bottom number, just the top number. So I'm giving that negative 1 is down. Positive 4 is right. You can also reverse that. Instead of going down, you can go up. And instead of right, you can go left. So if we do down 1, right 4, that would be down 1, and then count right 4. Down 1, right 4. We've run out of space to do down 1, right 4, so now we flip to up 1, left 4. So from the blue point, up 1, left 4, up 1, left 4. All those points make a nice straight line, and we connect our points with a line. Last example, 5x plus y equals 7. That is not in y equals form, which means we need to move it. We need to do minus 5x minus 5x. 5x minus 5x is 0. We have y equals 7 minus 5x. Now remember, we want it in y equals mx plus b form. So if we line up the y is right here, so we can leave that. Y equals mx. We need the x piece first, so we're going to put that negative 5x first. And then the b comes last, which is going to be that whole number all by itself, that's 7, so plus 7. Now we can identify our m and our b. Our m is negative 5. Our b is 7. Plot your y-intercept first on the y-axis, so we count up 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right there. There's our y-intercept. And then we use our slope, negative 5 over 1. Remember, we add that over 1 if there's no number on the bottom. Negative 5 means we're going to go down. Positive 1 means we're going to go right 1. Count down 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right 1. That's all the space that we have. So we connect those points with our line, and we are good to go. That's all the notes I have for you today. Thank you for watching this video, and please subscribe to my YouTube channel.